Walpole United, WFC.
Good evening and welcome to Saturday Night Live. This feels weird, actually. Two people on one screen. A little bit different, but Anthony's absolutely buzzing. So's John. It's like I've got the, what should we call you? The southern version of Bill and Ben, I think we'll go with. But anyway, lads, how are you doing?
Good, thanks.
Very good, thank you.
Been to Stourbridge earlier, giving the opposition grief. You're not singing anymore. You're not singing anymore. 2-0 in your cup final.
Yeah, so it's pretty much quiet for the first 10 minutes, apart from the away fans who was actually giving it some. They were doing quite well.
Them.
Yeah, they weren't very clear. Even I had difficulty understanding them. But then Anthony shut them up when we went 1-0 up, and it was and he went so hard in on them that the opposing fans actually come over to him and said, "Who are you?"
do you know what?
Go on, sorry.
I think I'm going to change my mind from Bill and Ben to the Brummie version of Kevin and Perry, judging by these stories. I'm trying to work out who's looking after who here. I don't know if John's looking after Anthony or Anthony's looking after John. But anyway,
too far gone. Literally, Anthony got here at 9:30. We started drinking at 10 o'clock today, so it's going quite well.
Yeah,
it's going quite well.
Alcohol for the Cocoa Pops. Is that how it was?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Oh, dear me. I suppose we better get onto the show then, whilst there's the three of us. So yeah, tonight then obviously we're going to chat Aston Villa game tomorrow at a ridiculous kickoff time, but that's just the Villa lot for you. And also we're going to discuss expectations, because I know a lot has been said recently about sort of, people said in summer one thing, they looked at Skinner's record, they moaned about it. Journalists had us falling down as far as 6th, 7th, 8th. So yeah, we're gonna get into that. But I think before we get into that, the best place to start is Aston Villa. So last time out, Foggy Lee Sports Village, we won 5-0. This time it's obviously going to be different. So Anthony, I'll start with you, pal. Obviously, like I mentioned, it's not going to be the same. Villa have probably improved since then. They've had some good results recently, notably the Tottenham result. What are your thoughts on tomorrow?
I don't think too much is actually going to be different. We've mentioned it before that their away form is brilliant, but their home form is poor. They've only got 4 points at home. So I'm not expecting too much different from a Villa point of view. They're going to try and frustrate us, make it hard for us to break them down. And it's up to us to break them down as early as we can, because if we don't break them down early, the longer it goes, the more we can be rushy and do rush things, like not play our game, which we always have to play your game, be patient, and it will eventually, because if we've got the ball 80%, 90% of the time, which I fully expect we will, they will tire and we will find the gaps. When you've got quality players like Tooney and Russo, who's great in the air, you always know you're going to get them opportunities to break the barriers down with them. So in terms of, they might have improved form-wise, but they've improved for teams other than Tottenham, which was a great result. It was away from home. Other than that, they've not really improved in terms of what should I say? They haven't really. I wouldn't say they've really improved that much. They're just, maybe they've played more away games. I've not done my homework on it, but it's not going to be 5-0. We had our prediction show earlier. Now, for you lot that do tune into our prediction show, sometimes we do look stupid. Like, you only have to see our prediction from the Birmingham-Brighton game when we were couldn't see anything more than a Brighton win, but Brighton being Brighton, fully obliged and became unreal. You don't know what to expect from them as usual. So don't be surprised if Brighton beat Man City. But other than that, like, I just think we'll control it. Tempo, it's all about breaking them down as quick as we can.
Yeah. John, obviously Anthony mentions there about breaking him down, and obviously he talked about possession. And I think one thing I remember from last time was we must have had about 20 shots, but I think only something like 8 or 9 were on target, from what I was reading earlier. So I suppose patience is the name of the game, isn't it? In terms of breaking him down and obviously having a lot of the ball, but then sort of doing something with it that's purposeful. But what are your thoughts on that, obviously, in terms of the game and obviously being patient?
I think that's Skinner's tactics as a whole, just game to game, is about being patient, just keep the ball away from the right opportunity. Don't go rushing everything. Don't go taking needless shots outside the box where anything could happen. Don't go just putting crosses in where you stand more chance of losing the ball or not getting the ball on target. So I think patience is definitely the key. I think we will have to take more shots outside the box, unfortunately, because they will probably be sitting back. I think, looking at Carla Ward's comments earlier this week, she's well aware that we want to score 4 or 5 goals, and she wants to dampen the spirits and probably limit those amounts of goals, of course, and maybe even catch us on the counter attack. I think it's going to be very awkward to invade the space behind us. Skinner, his terminology would be, because I think they will be quite deep. I think it's going to be very awkward. I think we're going to be relying on a lot of technical players, which you might see something like that in the starting 11. Will we go for more technical players and pacey players because there won't be loads of space? We need a bit of intricacy to break them down. It's gonna be a good game. I think we will have a lot of possession. We will be frustrated at times, and I like to, if we can get another 20 chances, I mean that'll be great, because you'd expect to score, a few of them there. But Anthony's laughing. He's thinking he's Di there, and he's got his shots on the goal. You can't quite see them on camera. That's another one down. But I think it's going to be a great game, and we're looking forward to it.
Yeah. One thing I do want to ask, and obviously Anthony, you can answer this first, then John, you can. Do we think that maybe the pitch is the reason? Because I know, Anthony, you were talking about they've not picked up, did you say 4 points at home? Do you think that pitch could be the reason? Maybe the size of it, and I don't even think it's that big a pitch, but also the state of it. I mean, the men's team, what, they're in League Two also, use it. Obviously, there's many reasons why they have the games at 6 o'clock. I think there's a market on as well. Not that affects the pitch, but how do we think that potentially maybe affects them at home? Because I was going to say they can't be nervous because there's only about 300 or 400 people go.
No, I don't think you can use the pitch as an excuse, size-wise or condition-wise, because every team has to play on that pitch. You could think, with the quality of the better players, no disrespect to Villa, that it could be harder for the likes of like Tooney, Russo, Pernilla, harder to control the ball and stuff. Yeah. So I don't think that is a reason. I don't know, with the 6 o'clock one, like John mentioned earlier, you've got to plan your diet through the day, so it could be, and you're just waiting, aren't you, to just the adrenaline, like by the time it gets to the time, like if you're on an adrenaline rush, you can come crashing down quite quickly. I don't know what attendance is like there, but if they got more support and louder, that probably could help as well. But like I said, with the diet part, if it's just timing, isn't it? Like, I'm sure all this does come into play, like. And I think Villa would like earlier times, but if you're going to play at a men's ground, then you do have to play by what they say. And obviously, they have the market. The market was obviously there before they started playing there. So I don't think, like you said, I don't think you can use the pitch as an excuse. We all have to play in it. And if anything, it should be an advantage for them, because they play all their home games on there, so they should be used to how it plays compared to the likes of us, Chelsea, Arsenal, City. They know that it's going to, like, the fitness-wise, like we play at Lee, which is, obviously it's a rugby pitch, it's it's not the likes of Old Trafford. You look at Old Trafford when we play there, and they do get a lot more tired quicker because it is a lot more space than that. But to cut a long story short, no, I don't think you can use the pitch condition as an excuse. We all have to deal with it, and they should know it more than anything because they play on it 11 times a season plus cups.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think it's necessarily the state of the pitch. The timing isn't great. Even though they're at home, it's not necessarily a home game. I mean, Warsaw people will tell you that it's not Birmingham. And Birmingham will tell you that Warsaw isn't Birmingham. They are two separate places.
They all sound like
Are you on about Warsaw in Birmingham, or are you about Warsaw in Poland?
Warsaw.
Yeah, you're on Warsaw in Poland.
And Mark Stanyard will tell you, it's not Brummie, but Warsaw's the country.
I ain't trusting Mark for anything.
But it is a good point. I mean, we had Chris on the show on Thursday, and he was explaining that the home form is really, really poor, and the away form is where they picked up the majority of their points. Timing of the day we've spoken about, it's not great. It's very hard to get up for a game at 6:30. I would have thought when you're used to playing most of your games at like midday, all the WSL games. So I completely get that. But what me and Anthony did speak about earlier is maybe that they're just used to being a counter-attacking team. So when you're away from home, the pressure's on the home team, so you can sit back, you can be compact and organised, which is Carla Ward's strengths, and then try and catch on the counter-attack. Whereas when you're at home, the pressure's on you a little bit more, just to open up and be a bit more free, and you're probably being caught out a bit more. So I think that's probably plays into it as well. The Baghdad Stadium is actually a nice stadium for this level. It's not too bad, but I do appreciate if the pitch is being used, then it's not going to be the best surface. But I don't think it's such a bad stadium, to be honest.
But you talk about the surface, but they're not the only team that play on a League Two pitch. You have Brighton, who play on a League Two pitch. So yeah, there is going to be stages where the pitch isn't as good as you want it to be.
Yeah.
But exactly, that's all I wanted to say.
No, that's fine. Just thought I'd ask because I'd seen a few people say, the pitch is in dire straits, and I'm similar opinion of you. So I'm just thinking, why when it's got to sort of, 2 games left now, why are we bringing up a pitch debate in terms, not us, by the way, in terms of like...
Might be worse than the bench at Tranmere.
No. Anyway, does one of you want to take that? Because it's been sort of at the top of the comments for a bit. How do we think the team will react? Obviously, City play Leicester at 2:00. City are at home. Birmingham have just won today, so that puts a little bit of pressure on Leicester.
Yeah.
Potentially could put pressure on us, knowing that they'll go above us until we beat Aston Villa. But I don't know. John, do you want to start, and then Anthony can add to it?
I'll let him have this one.
Thank you, Anthony. That's all right. Nice of you to allow that to happen. We have been drinking for 8 hours, people. It's all good. What was the question again? Yeah. Well, we were saying this. Yeah. We were saying this earlier, actually, at the stadium. The Birmingham result is good because it's going to have to fight Leicester on now. That's a good thing or a bad thing. If Leicester come out needed to attack, then all of a sudden, City can catch them on the counter attack and do it that way. But Leicester have got to be looking over the shoulder now. 4 points ahead. Birmingham have got a game in hand. Birmingham against Villa last game of the season, so Birmingham would love to, get a win there. They've only got to get a draw against one of the other 2 teams, which I know is going to be very awkward because it's one of the top 3 or 4 teams. But as for this game, Leicester's got to come out and give the all. And I think, if Birmingham had lost, then maybe Leicester could have thought to themselves, well, okay, we'll afford to lose this one so long as we win one more or draw one more. It doesn't matter. Whereas now they've got to start looking over the shoulder again and think, you know what, we might have to give 110% in this game because we might need something from it. City, I think they'll come into it confident no matter what happened with the Birmingham-Brighton game. I can't remember what the exact prediction was. I think I probably went for like a 3-0 or something like that for City. And I don't think I got Anthony's approval there. I think it was 3-0. And yeah, I think I don't think City's outlook will change. I think they'll come in confident, rightly so, with the amount of goals and wins that they've had in the last 6 matches. And you still got to favour City out here, but hopefully Leicester will be thinking, okay, goal average wise, they've got to stay in there. I'm sure Birmingham have got a better goal average than Leicester as well, if I can remember correctly. So Leicester can't do anything stupid. So even if City do get 2 or 3 up, they've got to keep on battling because you just never know.
Yeah, Leicester have conceded 4 more for your stats, so there you go.
Okay.
So yeah, they are 4 worse off in terms of goal difference. Yeah, there's a couple of comments on the team and sort of selections, which we'll get onto shortly. Charlie obviously mentioned similar to what we're talking about, like sort of keeping it patient. I suppose the one thing on the patient though is we don't want it to be patient where it's frustrating patient. And with that, I'm thinking the Brighton game where we were literally like tearing our hair out. On your case, Anthony, having nearly heart failure. I think it's there for the taking. Obviously, we've talked about sort of the style, and obviously you've both mentioned about Villa had looked to hit on the counter. I just wonder whether their style of play has maybe done them no favours, because I must have, I've tried to think, I've seen about 5 games, I think, of theirs this season, including against us. And I just think that the way they set up, yes, they look to hit on the counter, but they leave a winger up front on their own. And that was usually been Alicia Lehmann, who is better with a ball to feet running at people than she is with somebody long ball in it. So I don't want to sit here and say, they're not going to cause us problems, but I just think if that's the way they're going to play, it's going to be more for us about overloading the midfield for me. Overload the midfield, match them whether they put 4 in there or 5 in there, and then go at it like that. I don't know if you've got any thoughts on sort of the style, Anthony, and then John can answer as well. From us mainly, how would you approach it if you're Mark Skinner and you've heard what Carla Ward said and you heard that, they're going to maybe look to hit on the counter, then what are you doing from your point of view?
Well, yeah, majority of the time the game's won in the midfield. If you win your midfield battle, then 9 times out of 10 you're going to win the game because you're dictating the pace of the game and that, and the chances are going to come. You mentioned Lehmann up front sometimes. I was told that she's a slight doubt.
She is with Jill Scott.
So, she's probably still getting over the top bin penalties on Soccer AM. Don't know if you saw that.
I did.
It was good. It was good.
It's good.
Let me just say it's been replicated very soon somewhere.
No.
Well, it's not going to be Nat.
It's not going to be Nat, no, but viewers might see it potentially.
But no. Like you said with the question, no, we just have to play our own game, match them. We know player to player, we are better quality than them, better in every position, to be fair. But we just need to get stuck in, no half-hearted tackles. We know the likes of Remy Allen won't shriek a tackle, and if you do go in half-hearted, then you're going to end up worse with someone like Remy Allen. But so no, you just go about your game, and you just got to carry on with what you're doing. We're getting to the point of the season now where we have unfortunately dropped points from where we should have won, and this is why goal difference is a big thing now. But we can't let that play on our mind. We just have to go into the game, most importantly get the win, but then we do generally seriously have to think about goal difference, because I do expect, like, John was being kind when he said City were going to win 3-0. I've gone for 5. But I'd like John to be right, but I just think City they've got their squad pretty much back now and all that, and it's at home. So we just have to think about one game at a time, do what we have to do. But you do have goal difference does come into, especially with having Chelsea last game. We don't want to be relying on, because if we're level on goal difference and we do manage to beat Chelsea, we're not going to beat Chelsea 4-5-0. So
no, I agree.
I don't think we need to do anything too radical. Most games that we go into, we're going to have possession, and it's going to be awkward for us to break down the defence. We get that. But what I would like to say is Standing Force back, and one of the last games that Standing Force played, we actually played 5 in midfield. We didn't have Galton out wide or any natural wingers. We had 5 midfielders across the middle of the park with, I guess it was Russo up front, or probably Russo or Martha Thomas. So that is an option, but I don't think we need to change that too much. I think, what we've done lately has worked. We've got the wins. We just haven't got that many goals. But I do think that if it gets like 30 minutes to 35, 40 minutes, then there does need to be a plan B. And now I don't know what that plan B is. It might be to do with just throwing balls inside the box. And I don't want to rush anything because we spoke at the start about patience being the key. But there does need to be something there where if plan A is not working, if this, kind of play where we're not running down the wing and crossing the ball in, if we're playing another style of play that's not working, then sometimes we might have to go, route one football and do that instead. But I do think we get chances. It's just whether or not we'll convert them.
Okay, are we going on to? I've seen a lot of questions from people at Lansdale and that thinking how we should play. And now to Lansdale, if we push Tooney on the right and put Ladd back in DM, I assume you think Caldwell's going to start. So,
Anthony, you're killing me here, pal. You're killing my process here. Do you want to host?
Oh, sorry. I'll wait. Sorry.
You were killing me. I had a response to John's question about a plan B, and then I wanted to jump.
Carry on.
And then we'll go on to.
We'll come back to that one in a bit.
Yeah. Oh, listen, don't worry. I'll get back up to them comments before I lose my trail of thought. John, I was going to ask about a plan B. Both of you. You mentioned a plan B. Do either of you feel like we have a plan B? Because at times I wonder personally, do we? We've seen changing formation, but I don't recall in a game us doing something, it being a complete disaster or not working, and then us completely changing it in the second half. But you might be able to correct me there, John, with your hand up.
Yeah, I'm saying something. I don't know if it's plan B or if it's just a different. No, there is definitely something behind it. I think Skinner, I don't think wants to use this. I think he wants to just try and keep the ball as much as he can.
Yeah. Playing
very simple. Because you stand more chance of losing the ball if you start using wing play or long balls. However, what we have seen a fair bit of is almost like a formation of 4-2-4, where you have like your two, obviously like your centre attacking midfielder play up front alongside Russo, and then your two wingers also play on their back four as well. And we might see a lot of that hopping for balls over the top. My problem here is I don't know if there's going to be enough of a space behind the defence and the goalkeeper for that to work. So obviously on a goal kick or a free kick or something like that, we might see a long ball over the top for runners to run onto. That might be a good way to work because we've seen that happen before. But I don't think that's his plan A. So that would literally be the plan B. But I think if we start going down that route, it's very forced and it shows that plan A isn't working because that's not his style of play. He doesn't want to play a long ball over the top. He wants to keep the ball in the midfield, pass it round, move defenders out to position and invade space behind. So I think those are two types of play that he will play. But obviously when you've got Hampton on the bench or Fuso who could run with with the ball, that is also an option as well.
Yeah. Anthony, do you want to take this about Charlie and what Charlie's put? And then what we'll do is we'll get into your selections and your formations and things like that. So he says here, no worries about players being a better quality. It's the mental side of the game that's been our Achilles heel this season. Obviously, we touched on before about the likelihood of City, well, not only winning, but racking up goal difference. They've got a rearranged game to play against Birmingham City, which again could be that. But what do you think in terms of mentality? Maybe you can either summarize it for tomorrow or you can give me the whole season or something like that.
So from a season point of view, after a couple of times it happened, it is sort of a mental thing. But we've also had this discussion about the fitness of them. Most notably the West Ham game. West Ham played 3 games in 6 days. We had 1 game in God knows. And you would think we were the team that played 3 and 6 days, games in 6 days from just the way we were in the second half, fitness wise. And fitness is important, as we know, because if you feel fit and that your brain's a bit more switched on, we all know being tired can lead to a lapse in concentration. And so it's a bit it's mentality. It's also fitness, I think. But I don't know why we struggle with fitness. I don't know. Is it what we've had nearly a season now, so they're used to the training routine and that side, and so I don't get what I don't understand why it'd be something to do with in training. It is a difficult one because
it's been like it for a while, Anthony. Even like the previous season,
yeah.
you know, it's apparently Wednesdays is like a double shift. I don't know if that's still the case, but it does seem to be that even last season, you know, injuries, all our injuries, pretty much apart from military, I believe, pretty much is all throughout the week from training, and what's you know nothing's changed from last season, so that is something that needs to be looked at as well. You could argue that the players aren't fit enough, but it's up to the club to get them fit enough, aren't they? You know, so they've got to work together and get the best out of players in that sense.
Do we use our sub? Do we make changes too late as well? Like we can see the 90th minute,
yeah,
against West Ham. I mean, it's no good bringing on Hudson for 2 minutes. And also, I agree with you, Gareth. Yeah, it can be not beneficial, but you would still think going into the latter part stage of the game, you would have the fresher legs.
Yeah. No, I was just going to say, John, didn't we have some sort of medical restructure? Because I know Ellie Turner went back to Man City. Did we end up with a new club doctor and physio? Am I right with that?
Yeah.
So there should, like we said, there should be no excuses in terms of fitness, because if that's been the start of the season and we're nearly at the end, you know, it should have been.
I understand. I mean, so as put opinion in the comments. I understand if you're a brand new player coming into our club who has to change a whole routine, coming from a different country. So I understand what you know, like Boris at the start of the season may not be quite match fit, or Senior Brun might not be at WSL level just yet, or whatever. I can understand another player coming in, but when you've been with the club for 3 or 4 years, then you should be okay. So if you're not okay, you've either got to look at the player and think, okay, you're not fit enough to be here, or you've got to look at your own training regime, thinking we're killing off players here. You know, it's something's got to give. Something's not right, is it?
No, I agree. And obviously, you mentioned there the comment about Brune. I don't think that was mentioned, was it, by Martin? I know we just mentioned Stanley Back, Kirsty Smith, and Diane.
Mm-hmm.
No mention on Brune. She's sort of been in and out the side, hasn't she, through sort of fitness and
yeah.
Injury.
I don't think we'll see much of her, because you can't go taking Musso out now. Martha Thomas has had a good season, to be fair. Galton's coming on form, and Tooney's probably going to be next choice when it comes to the front three. You know, so I think it's going to be with Senior. Unfortunately, she might just be a super sub, which is fine. But when you see that quality, it's a shame that we can't get them on the pitch more. But obviously, things have happened, and it's not meant to be. But
yeah,
you know.
I think it's one of them where if we're doing it, we'd have to either change formation or sacrifice a holding player. Because for me, whenever I've seen Brune, and this was obviously pre-Man United, she's always played well in a front two. I just think the way we're playing, if we're still playing with 2 wide players and 2 forwards, you know, we're going to either have to go old school 4-4-2, or we're going to have to go with 3-5-2, which again could lead to. I mean, it's Villa in it, so it could lead to problems. It may not, because obviously Hannah and Ona attack anyway. But yeah, we'll not get into that debate. Right, we'll go back up to the top to satisfy you, Anthony, on the comments. Give me your team. There was a comment there about would you go Diane Thor, Lad Thor, or Lad Diane? So what's we got? We've got Katie Zellum and Jackie doing a job in midfield. Tooney was mentioned as well as a 10 and Russo up top. But do you want to run for your starting 11, Anthony?
This is the thing. Before I do go into it, I'm still laughing. Before I do go into it, does Diane come straight back in, and we do push Hayley Ladden to DM? That also means who do you go in the midfield? Because Martha Thomas has been brilliant recently. So who do you drop out of the team? Or do you gradually bring Diane back in and then keep it the same? So there is a lot of options there, and ifs and buts. But I think I think Marriott's will start and go, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
I think it'll be the usual back four. Well, say the usual back four. Honor and Blunder will be on the wings. But then I do think Diane will come straight back in. I think she's had enough time to get her training levels up and match fitness up. Then you have Maria. Then I think Lad will play. But then this is when it gets difficult because we know Zelen will play. But then I'd say Leah on the left, Russo up top. But then you have Tooney in. But where do you play Tooney? Do you play Tooney on the right? Do you play Tooney number 10 and have Jackie and Borisa on the bench and Martha on the wing? Or do you have Tooney on the wing and Martha Thomas dropping out for Jackie? And that is a difficult one.
I think I agree with everything that Anthony just said. And I think he's going to choose Martha Thomas over Jackie or Borisa, because you can either put Tooney out wide and then have an extra midfielder in, i.e. Jackie or Borisa, or you put Tooney in that central attacking midfield role, Martha Thomas out wide, and then that leaves Zellum and Ladd in the midfield, because Ladd's your best CDM. Zellum is going to play. So you're going to play Tooney up ahead of them. So I think that's going to be the interesting one. You know, are you going to choose Martha Thomas out wide, which would sacrifice Jackie and Vilda Borisa? And that's something interesting in itself right there.
I mean, the other thing is, just before I go to this comment here, the other thing is that obviously Anthony talked about midfield battle and Remy Allen. What about Jade Moore pairing with Hayley Ladd? 2 lots of steel. Again, you'd probably end up dropping either the captain or someone else. He mentions here about Tooney right wing, Ladd in defence.
I think Jade Moore and Hayley Ladd are similar, so
they are.
You play one or the other.
Yeah, I think that. I'm just thinking in terms of like midfield steel. Now we've got the option to use both. They are similar. If anything, for me, Hayley's a lot better. But in terms of the way they play, very similar. John?
Chelsea maybe. You know, the Chelsea game, that's game of the season. You might want to do something like that. Just keep it tight as much as you can. Don't concede, and then just hope to pick up 1 goal. I get that. But against Villa, surely you got to play your.
In terms of defending, no, I was thinking in terms of keeping it solid, like something that's actually going to put in a tackle rather than defending. Only because you look at Zellum sometimes, and when there's a 50-50 ball, I'm just not confident that she goes in hard. Jackie, probably, but it was more for. I'd push Jade Moore. I'd even have 2 sitting because it's Villa. It would be Jade Moore in front of Hayley as a central midfielder rather than a CDM. And then
it would work. I just think that maybe Jade. Well, depending on what's happening in training, maybe Skinner's looked at any of these players, say Jade Moore, and think, you know what, you've actually done better than I thought. You deserve a spot in the starting 11. I originally bought you as a stand-in for Hayley in case Hayley's ever injured. However, you've deserved your spot coming into the starting 11. That could be the case. However, you know, I think I don't think there's any need to play both of those. I think you need the creativity. I think you need players who can pass and move more than steal in this particular game. But if that happens against Chelsea, it wouldn't surprise me. And that could be one of these plan Bs, couldn't it? You know, when you spoke about a 4-2-4, you know, if you have them 2 in the centre of the park with 4 runners ahead of them, that could be the case. So you might see that at some point throughout the game, but I don't think Skinner would start with that.
Yeah, Lanzo's gone for Blundell and Owner as the fullbacks, Ladd next to Thor in the middle, Mary in goal, Katie Zellum, Jackie Tooney, Galton, Russo, Thomas. So pretty much unchanged. Connor's admiring your painting.
He's painted. That's just for you. I've got blinds. I've not blinds.
Connor's got Tooney wide, Stanny in there, Ladd, Zellum, Borisa. So yeah, interesting. I think for me, I'd probably go and change from the last time out. From the last time, when was it we played? Start of April, won it from Brighton, and see where that takes us. And let's hope. So what I'm going to do, last bit of the show, I'm going to move on and talk about expectations. So I'm going to take you right back to summer. So Anthony, do you want to lead us in with expectations what you had in summer, and then tell me if we've changed or not?
For me, I know we had a lot of negativity, didn't we, at the start? People were going, "Oh, because we didn't know what was happening, who was leaving, who was joining." There was a lot of uncertainty. So I think people were like, "Oh, I'll be happy with fourth or fifth, or we're going to struggle." And yeah, it just takes time with a new manager and that. And it did show a bit the first part of the season. But I think in general, if with 3 games to go, the position we're in, and you offered that, you would take it. I know City have had their injury problems beginning of the season. We can look, yeah, we really should have picked up the points here and that, but you can't do anything about that. They're being and gone, yeah, we should have beaten City when we went 2-1. We should have not lost to we should have not drew to Everton. We should not drew to Tottenham. It's all we shouldn't, but we did. So we have to face the facts that this is how it is. With 3 games to go, you would take it. So I can see on one side of things, people would be disappointed knowing that we really had a big chance. But then on the other side, with the new style and that, a bit of time to digest how he wants us to play, and that they can be happy that they're still in with the Champions League shout.
Yeah, I think it's interesting because, again, there's a lot, and we've talked about this a lot, there's a lot of criticism probably levelled Mark's way that in the first 2 months I thought was unfair. And I know, John, you sort of, you talked a lot. And I think, looking at it, like I said at the start of the season, listen, similar to you, Anthony, we've got a change in management. We've got players coming and going, new style of play. It's going to take time. And I actually said, and I'll keep this on record, is that I would be happy just continuing fourth and progressing in the cups. Now, obviously, in terms of looking at the season overall, we've beaten Arsenal. And okay, we got stuck again at another semi-final, but we got further than last year. We've beaten Arsenal, something we've never done. We're still fighting for Champions League, which I'm pretty sure at the start of the season, I don't recall too many people saying we would be. So yeah. I think overall, looking at it, I mean, in terms of expectations for me, mine haven't changed and mine is still the same. Listen, not saying don't get third. I'll be delighted with third and that will be above my expectations, which is fantastic. But I just think for what we've been through in this transition, considering we're still up there with a fighting chance, for me is a credit to Mark. Obviously, FA Cup as well, could have been better potentially. But, again, we can't really hammer it too much because I think for me, what he's done in one season is probably similar to what Casey had done in her 2 WSL seasons. We've kind of, I'd say stayed there, but maybe improved a little bit. The improvement's clear for me. Again, another comment there about, done well considering how late into pre-season he took the reins. And again, I'd agree. And regarding the negativity, I'll let you talk on this, John. Obviously, in general, there was bits about Carrington, wasn't there? And obviously, pre-season needs planning. But what do you want to take that question first? Talk about pre-season and Skinner and the negativity, and then what I'll let you do is I'll let you talk about your expectations from sort of summer to now and where we're at in terms of that.
Over the summer, we done about 4, 5, 6 shows a week on this channel, and every show was pretty much to do with what's going to happen to our women's team. The club don't care about us. The training facilities are really bad. We've got no transfers coming in. The manager's coming in late. We've lost all these quality players. All the media was jumping on it. It was all doom and gloom. Admittedly, it was overdone, not by us, but by people who was exaggerating what was going on at the club. But it was all negative. It was all doom and gloom. We finally bring a manager in that was, probably second or third choice. However, a manager that had a good CV from Birmingham, not a great one in America. However, he did have a lot of obstacles that a lot of people probably aren't even aware of. Mm-hmm. And it was, going into that first season, a lot of fans was on our channel saying, we'll be lucky if we don't move backwards. We just need to stabilise, get fourth. If we get fourth, it'll be a success. Now, all of a sudden, because we've had a good season and we're pushing for third, if we don't get third, would it be a failure? Well, that's the question, isn't it? You know, some people say, well, yes, it would be a failure. However, if you take a step back and think, well, hang on a bit, you've moved your own goalposts here.
Yeah.
You know, you said at the start of the season, with all the obstacles that we had, fourth would be okay. You know, that's pretty much, you know, a lot of people thinking that we wasn't going to get fourth. You know, all of a sudden you can't just suddenly turn around and say, oh well, because we haven't got Champions League, it will be a failure. You know, some people would say that, but this is just my opinion. You have to look at the season as a whole. You know, I think the fact that we haven't lost to any teams outside of the top 3, top 4 this season is a step forward, because we have in every other WSL season. You know, we haven't lost. We've drew a few. We have drew a few. But even in our bad times, where in the first couple of months, our worst times was in our first couple of months of a brand new manager, where we just got a couple too many draws. You know, no one would have complained if we had 2 draws, but because we had 3 or 4, it was like such a tragedy. And this is a brand new manager taking over just because we had a draw or won on penalties on one game. So it ended up bad. And the fact that we're here potentially going into the final game of the season, going for top 3, I think it's a massive achievement. My expectations going in, I always said I'll be happy with 4th, but we should be challenging for 3rd.
Yeah.
I think, you know, and that's based on the club more than the manager and the players. You know, I think the club needs to be looking at this. You know, they made the decision to not keep Casey. They made the decisions not to do whatever they did. So for me, this season, we should be still pushing for 3rd. However, with all the changes that they made, I could understand 4th is probably a realistic goal. And yeah, we're going to end up with 4th, and you know, or maybe 3rd, but I'm probably leaning towards 4th at the moment, and that wouldn't be a bad season.
Yeah, it's interesting because obviously you mentioned there about sort of picking up wins, you know, against sort of the so-called bigger teams, or the teams that are putting more money into it. And yeah, I think it will be an interesting one, because like you said, if we miss out on 3rd, how many are going to moan, having said at the start of the season, you know, 4th, 5th, 6th? I think that will be the key thing for me. And again, like we've said it plenty of times, you know, or a few of us have anyway, about the progression is clear to see. You know,
I just want to reiterate something, Matt. Like I said, just on that, I just said it, but if we do moan the 4th is a failure, it shows how good we've actually done throughout the season for 4th to be a failure.
Yeah.
Because that's just crazy to say that after
this is what I'm saying.
Season,
yeah, because there's so many people, like I say, in summer, I don't recall too many people saying we will get 3rd or we'll be fighting for 3rd. There was a few, but there wasn't many. It was a lot of doom and gloom. Connor saying here, obviously, Skinner has shown advancement in tactical levels. I do think that he is tactically better than Casey Stoney, and people might crucify me for that, but that's fine. That's what I feel anyway.
I agree, and I think the players have learned a lot more as well. I think the way the Skinner's teaching them, you know, it's completely opened their minds, and that's why at the start it might have took them a while to learn different roles. You know, Tooney as a false 9, Dalton doing more than just running with the ball, and you know, learning different ways to cut in and all this kind of stuff. Everyone's learning.
Yeah, that's it. I think obviously Connor says exactly the same there about taking time and obviously giving him the summer. I think obviously we've said a lot. He needs to be backed in summer to bring in what he wants. January seemed very rushed in terms of recruitment, very last minute. We got it done, but you know, again, it's got to be better in summer. But I think he's added different bits to the games, like you say, rather than Leah just running at plays. You know, Tooney said in her interview, I think was it yesterday, it came out in the Daily Mail, about wanting to add more assists to a game, and she's done that as well of goals, you know. So there has been, if you pull each individual player, there has been improvement. I think Mary Earps has been better this year than last year. Forced away back as England's number 1, and rightly so. You could go through all the players, really. I'm not going to do that now. Connor says as well, the addition of Martin, and I love Martin. I literally, I think him taking a more prominent role in the touchline has worked wonders. Gareth says positivity, we're going to get 3rd. Let's hope we smash a few past Villa then. And then a few past West Ham with any interest. Do the panel think the role of director of football / head of football will get filled ahead of pre-season? Anthony?
I do now. I think now with the men's side have sorted the manager's role. I think it took a bit of a backward step because they needed to get that big role filled.
Yeah.
But now that's sorted, they can concentrate on doing what they were planning to do. So yeah, I know. I reckon they will.
Yeah, John.
Yes, I don't know about pre-season, especially. I think it'll be done before the start of the season. You'd like to think that talks would have been ongoing there behind the scenes anyway, and it's just a case of just finalising and going from there, because that director of football or head of women's football, I can't remember the exact terminology of that role, would get involved in transfers and working with Skinner and the scouting system, or just regarding summer transfers. They've got the Euros coming up as well. So how much is that going to take away or add to people's workloads? That'll be interesting as well. But what is good is that you'll have a lot of top quality European talent in our country. So if transfers haven't been finalised, there's plenty of time and opportunity to scout some of the best talent in Europe in our own country this year, and you can guarantee the fans will be doing that. So you'd like to think that the club will be doing that as well. So I do think it will be announced before the start of the season. Whether or not in pre-season, I'm not too sure.
Yeah, I think it needs to be ideally announced before we start the season for me, obviously, just for scouting and transfer purposes, for budgets, for everyone to know where they're at. Obviously, we know that pre-season will have been planned or should have been planned by now. Obviously, waiting on that. But yeah, we shall wait and see. I want to get a score prediction from you both. I heard Anthony, I think you mentioned before something about 3-0, didn't you? But if you want to give me a score prediction.
Yeah, 3-0.
3-0,
yeah.
John.
Well, that's the 3-0 prediction show as well. So just to spice it up a little bit, we'll say some scores.
Oh yes, go. I was going to say I thought you were going to change.
I never changed my mind. I've been doing this for 12 months with you, Anthony. I never changed my mind on predictions. You copied me earlier. We did our prediction show.
I knew you'd done that. Score before he gave me his.
No, I just thought I'd go over it because obviously I knew you'd mention it, but I thought for those that didn't catch your prediction show whilst we changed the day,
I'll say 3-0, and I think we'll score 1 or 2 outside the box, which means maybe midfielders will get on the score sheet.
Yeah, Jackie.
Oh yeah. Anthony says Jackie.
Interesting.
Son, you heard it. You heard it here first.
We heard it here first.
Yeah.
God, I'm going to say I'm going for 4-0. I'm going to back Russo to get some more goals. Galton and Tooney. Tooney can get 1. We'll have Galton as 1 and Russo as 2. That's your 4 for me. Just before go on.
No corners.
No corners. Not on that pitch. Jesus, no. Just before we wrap, because I know you two have got to shoot. Tomorrow, got match day coverage. Obviously, 6 o'clock kickoff. So yeah, we'll have that a couple of hours beforehand for you. Weekly catch up will go out as well in the morning for any shows you may have missed. And we'll also get the weekly schedule. And John will be back on Monday with his match reaction show. Gareth says Mary's going to score a goal kick that catches the wind. If that happens, then there'll be absolute carnage in them stands. I can just see it now.
Yeah.
If that happens, Gareth has to dye his hair a different colour.
Well, he's already talking about doing that. We had this debate the other day. Decided on the colour. So, any suggestions for that? If Mary scores, give Gareth suggestions for dyeing his hair. Yeah, or shave it, whichever. Yeah, right. Well, that's the end of the show. I'll let you two shoot and get on with your Kevin and Perry impressions in Birmingham, or Kevin and Perry hit Stourbridge.
Yeah, we're gonna have it large.
We're gonna watch Tyson Fury have a bit of a fight.
Yeah, gonna.
He's fighting someone. Oh, someone just messaged me.
Are you sure it's Tyson and not just some local brummie that looks like... I'm joking. Gareth says enjoy yourselves. So cheers, anyway, yeah, well, we'll leave it there and we'll be back Monday live at 7 p.m. Cheers, lads.
Cheers, mate.
Thank you. Take